Friends, there have been 2 undetected landings on the Taiwanese beaches. And I say undetected because the Taiwanese military did not notice these landings. And this is serious, friends. I warned about this back in April when I was talking about how easy it would be for Chinese spies, Chinese saboteur teams to land on the beaches undetected because the beaches are undefended in Taiwan. Now, they got the big radar installations, they got all that going on the large scale, but when we're talking about small scale, they cannot actually detect these things. And so we have 2 incidents. Another incident just happened this week, and we're talking about Chinese citizens. This time it was a Chinese ex-military guy that actually landed on the beach of Taiwan. The only reason they actually found out about this is because he went and actually turned himself in. Yes, we need to talk about this, friends. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and I am on the beach in Utah. Now, if you say Utah doesn't have a beach, we're in Normandy. Utah Beach, Normandy. This is where the one of the American prongs of the assault happened on Normandy. You're probably familiar with the Omaha beaches where things went horribly, horribly wrong. Here, things went much, much better. The tanks arrived, the resistance was much, much less, and the airstrikes were much more effective on the beaches here too. And so we have very different situation here, but we're talking about the landings. I'm being followed. We're talking about the landings on the beaches in Taiwan, right? With China possibly going to be attacking any time in the near future, we can see that can happen at any time. We have, like I said, 2 separate boats now have landed undetected on the Taiwanese shore. The Taiwanese military did not notice them because they were small, they were rubber, just had a few people on each of them, and because of that, they didn't notice them. Now, we also talk a lot about what could happen in Taiwan with all the shipping containers, all of the military or the civilian goods that are appearing on the beaches at the ports, but they don't actually have any inspections happening whatsoever on them. So we have that happening. According to the Taiwanese military, they're saying that they have seen just in the last 24 hours, 6 PLAN, which is People's Liberation Army Navy. The Army has a Navy. 6 PLA Navy ships have been detected in Taiwanese waters, and we're talking about past the median line, right? We have 6 ships the day before them, and yesterday we also had 3 aircraft from China also cross the median line. Now, while we haven't seen the same kind of cadence that we've seen at some of the high points of the issues with between China and Taiwan, we continue to see constant pressure put by China on Taiwan. We keep seeing them crossing the median line, trying to normalize these military incursions, getting closer and closer to the coast. And this is really, in the end, testing the Taiwanese and also to acclimate them to the presence of Chinese military aircraft, Chinese Navy ships in their space. And one of the big difficulties with the Chinese Navy ships is the fact that that there's so many civilian ships out there. So trying to pick out these needles in a haystack is difficult, especially when the whole haystack is made up of metal needles. You're looking for a certain kind of needle inside the pile of needles. If you want to check it out yourself, you can pull up shipping for the area, shipping traffic, and you'll see that there are cargo container ships. You got fishing boats. You got like literally 1,000 boats around Taiwan any given day. And the question is, which of those may happen to be Chinese Navy ships? You don't know. And may look like a civilian ship, until it suddenly just goes straight for the coast and starts dropping hundreds or thousands of Chinese soldiers right on the beach. Who's to say that? Transponders can be faked. All that is so very real. Let's talk a little bit about the landings here. One of the things I keep talking about is something that military planners, Napoleon, many of the other great military generals in the past have said, is that amateurs, when talking about warfare, amateurs talk about tactics and strategies, and they've also had variations of this, but professionals talk about logistics. The importance of this beachhead, and behind this beach is Saint Marie, where I shot this morning's video at. Back there was behind Utah Beach. And the reason for this is closing off this peninsula because Cherbourg port is right up the peninsula. Trying to actually isolate that port, capture that port so that the British could bring in resupply, tanks, ammunition. Each soldier needed approximately 75 pounds of gear, equipment, food, ammo, everything per day. And when you bring 100,000 soldiers onto the ground and they need 75 pounds of gear per day of combat, you're talking about a serious amount of ordnance, a serious amount of stuff that needs to come in on trucks. And that is exactly why they needed the port back there. And so these landings were a pincer movement to isolate Cherbourg port so that they could then bring in massive amounts of stuff. And same thing in China. When China invades Taiwan, they need to capture, get as many troops as they can on the ground, but they need to capture deep water ports so they can bring in big heavy ships that can unload tanks, that can unload artillery, and unload all the ammunition and rockets and everything like that that they need to have on the ground there. So could that happen this fall? I think it very well might happen. While everyone's paying attention to everywhere else in the world, China has been getting a little quieter, and I think it will be quiet right before they strike. One of the things that we learn here too is how the Higgins boats that we used for the landings here in Normandy, they were made out of plywood. They were cobbled together very lightly and very quickly, and they could be used for landing operations in a place like Taiwan as well. And that's one of the things that they keep saying is China can't invade because they don't have enough boats. Well, they could build wooden boats, drive them to the coast, drop them in the water, and deploy them. Ships like cruise ships have lifeboats that are motorized. These are basically landing craft. And a lot of these landing craft can hold 150 people on them. I was just on a cruise ship the other day, and it was a ferry, but the landing ships could handle 150 people each, and they were motorized. So this is a very doable thing, and while the world is not paying attention, while Taiwan is not paying attention, Taiwan's having infiltrations happening on its beaches without them doing anything, and they're having lots of security lapses all over the place. All right, friends, I want to kind of bring you some of those insights here, and I thought you guys would want to see the beaches of Normandy where the Americans landed. A lot of famous pictures here. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining us, and I'm going to continue on in this journey. We got some interesting stuff coming up ahead, and then the next leg of this adventure is going to begin. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining with us. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.